Labor Day, the holiday dedicated to celebrating the hardworking employees who built this nation. Although the world doesn't really shut down on this day, and if you're not a corporate suit or a part of a union, then best bet is that today is just another ordinary day for you. Stuck working behind the register or a fryer, well, people who make 3 times more than you come in to make today even busier than usual while they enjoy their day off that you won't be getting. Well, in this video, let's sit down together and discuss the origins of today's holiday. And if you're personally stuck watching this in some break room at work, while your boss is at home with his family, relaxing away while you're just adding more pennies into his bank account, then maybe you can relate to some of the sentiments shared in today's video. And if you personally have been enjoying my daily doomer commentaries over here on the page, then don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, opinions below, and subscribe to see my daily videos right here on the channel. And a huge shout out to the handful of you for checking out those links down below in the description. Those are always some of the best ways to support me and the content around here. Now, let's begin this shit show.
Picture this. It's 1882, and working conditions are harsh. Adults and even children work 12 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, in dangerous conditions. But labor unions are gaining strength, and on September 5th, about 10,000 workers gather in New York City. Bricklayers, printers, dressmakers, and cigar makers march through the streets in their work clothes, carrying the tools of their trade as symbols of pride. They hold signs reading, "Labor creates all wealth," and 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for what we will. Most aren't paid for the day, and some risk losing their jobs just for joining. After the march to Union Square, workers and their families celebrate with food, music, speeches, and fireworks. Part protest, part party, this became the first large demonstration of labor solidarity in the United States.
Now, I personally enjoyed far too many complimentary pizzas and, free desserts in the break room or free little muffins and snacks and goodies around, the holidays, which are in reality just little sneaky ways to avoid having to pay you extra for doing any sort of above and beyond work. Now, let's say you had to call in. Let's say you had to, pick up some for somebody else. Sorry, let's say someone else called in. You had to pick up their stuff. Let's say the freezer broke and you had to spend an extra 2 shifts taking all that out. Well, it's a lot cheaper for the company to just, spend $72 on 7 pizzas to feed the 50 employees that had to, take up overtime versus giving you guys an extra $50 bonus on your paycheck. If you break down the math, it would be much more, like 1,000 times more for them to do the bonus. But at the end of the day, wouldn't you much rather have the extra $50, do whatever you want, which probably pay a bill or a debt or your gas to get to and from work, whatever you got to do, your lunch for the week, versus maybe 1 or 2 slices of pizza, which in reality, if you ever been in any of these meetings or something, there's only a certain amount. You can only take like 1 or 2 slices, or else not everybody gets one. So it's really not that great. It's kind of like back to school. It's like we're all in elementary school again. It's like, you can take your milk, but you only get one. So what an interesting concept right now. Now, I feel like the appreciation of employees just drastically been getting downhill. It's been going downhill slowly but surely over the course of the decades and the time. And back in the day, employees would speak up. They'd throw riots. They'd make a stand and try to, have walkouts and throw a fit. Now it's like, hey, dude, we can't do, bro. Don't do that, bro. You're going to piss off the boss. He's going to fire us all. He will replace us. There will be AI coming in here. Okay? We can't do this, okay? There's somebody willing to do our jobs for half the price. We need this job. So I can't have you talking out, okay? Do your job. Sit down. Bow. That's pretty much the common employee today. Anyway, well, how do you feel? Let me know down below in the comments.
I think a lot of people are finally realizing that the curtain has been completely pulled back. We have been sold a lie. We have been sold a dream that the social contract that if you go to work, you get a job, you go to college or whatever, you do the right thing, you're going to get ahead in life. And I think we're finally realizing that this is just not the case. The American dream of buying a house, of getting a home, of having a stable job, all of that is out the window. And our generation has had to come up with life hacks and really unconventional ways of earning money and finding ways to live in ways that earlier generations and our parents, I don't think they quite understand, right? Because when they were growing up, the system works for you if you work it, right? But nowadays, it's not like that anymore. And finding jobs is just not a reality. I worked for almost 10 years and I can't even find a job. So it's almost like we have to start our own businesses and we have to find unconventional ways of living, and it sucks.
Now, the power dynamic that is, between a employer and an employee has always been kind of a interesting situation. There's always been those jokes about, like, the business suit guy and his hot secretary who he cheats on his wife with whenever he's at the office. And I've worked in many restaurants where in almost every single one, the cook or a waitress or someone in the front office, they have a work husband or a work wife, which is honestly just a sneaky way to cheat on your spouse and try to get away with it. I mean, it's kind of weird. I never really understood that, but hey, people are who they are, and a lot of people are like that. So hopefully that's not you. But if you've seen that before, please feel free to let me know down below in the comments. The restaurant industry can be one hell of a freaky place, especially with people being drunk all the time. Most people living off of tips, so they're willing to do a lot of different things for money. Interesting place. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts, opinions regarding the current day respect factor that employers have on employees? Do you feel like employers genuinely feel like every employee is replaceable? Do you feel like there are some employees that definitely do still have somewhat of a say, or overall it's just like, we're all just kind of like a dime a dozen? And if you're gonna keep arguing for a higher and higher wage every year, I mean, how long are they really willing to keep you? So I don't really blame people for jumping around jobs. There also are those studies that say if you jump around jobs, you end up getting paid more and higher raises. So that's debatable why people are doing that. But back in the day, parents, or at least my parents, my grandparents, they would stay at the same company for 30, 40, 50 years until they retired. Now, even if you stay at a company for 30, 40, 50 years, you still might never be able to retire. It's just a crazy thing to, look into. But what do you think?
It's not a holiday, it's a cover-up. Labor Day was designed, it was not declared, it is not soaked in blood, it does not celebrate protests and strikes and uprisings like May Day does. It was built bureaucratically. It was built to contain us. By the late 1800s in the United States, the labor movement was no longer politely just asking for things. It was making full-fledged demands, and it had the power, it had the numbers to make those demands. It was shutting down railroads. They were fighting police. They were terrifying the industrialists who made their fortune on 14-hour work days, no weekends, child labor, all the good stuff, really. And workers already had a holiday, May 1st, May Day. It's a global day that celebrates international workers. It's rooted in the Haymarket Affair. It was a day that honored the dead. It was a day that named and pointed out the enemy, which is why the U.S. government did what it does best. Co-opt, dilute, rename, rebrand. It handed workers a new holiday in September, a Monday, a long weekend, a safe distance from May Day, a pat on the back with a hamburger and a coupon code for a mattress sale. Frederick Douglass warned us a long time ago that power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Labor Day is what you get when the ruling class wants to avoid having more demands made of it. But those demands that predate Labor Day, the ones that came from the labor movement that celebrates May Day, those demands changed everything. You've got the weekend, you've got 8-hour workdays, child labor laws, sick days, pensions, workplace safety, unemployment insurance. None of that was inevitable. None of it would have been given to the workers had they not made demands, organized, built numbers, and said, this is what we are asking for and this is what we will get. And if you don't give it to us, we're not going to work for you. All of it came from pressure, sustained, organized, and oftentimes violent. I believe over the next few years that we will build something back that would make the early labor movement proud, but it's going to take a lot of hard work and organized effort by you, by me. But you should know that Labor Day is not a celebration. It is an erasure of May Day and the labor movement in the United States of America.
Now, when you really break down the whole origins of what Labor Day is and how Labor Day was, based off of, and the origins of it, like we initially just said, it's kind of crazy to think people really genuinely cared about a fair wage. They cared about working fair hours. They cared about being able to live and still having a life, versus these days, it's like you should be ashamed if you don't work 24/7. If you don't have 3 kids, a house, 3 wives, 17 cars, 5 dogs, 2 cats, a fish, and a vacation home off of 1 income, what the fuck are you doing, buddy? It's just not fair anymore. Versus, like, my dad had all that. Well, I don't know about all that, but close enough. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that times are just adjusted to fuck over the average person? Do you feel like the average middle-aged individual is just screwed from the start to begin with? Or do you feel like people are just idiots? We're all just stupid. Like, figure it out, dude. Buddy, what's wrong with you? Is that how some guys look at me? What's wrong with me? I don't know. I can't figure it out. Feel free to let me know down below in the comments. Happy Labor Day to our hardworking citizens continuing to keep the system afloat. And for all of you working today on the front lines of the checkout counter and the kitchen staff, keep on going, guys. I definitely hope you guys get some big old tips today. Either way, huge shout out to everybody who's continuing to check out these videos. Huge shout out to everybody checking those links down below in the description. Those are always some of the best ways to support me and the content around here. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you continue to enjoy. and hope you check out some of the other videos. I plan to continue busting out these videos, pumping them out aggressively, and I hope that you guys are enjoying them. So continue to enjoy. Huge shout out to you guys. Hope to see you in the next one.